everybody. Welcome back to the Routine Podcast.
Gymnastics Conversations.
I'm Chelsea.
I'm Chelsea's mom, Diana.
And we're back for episode 85.
I got my flower. I'm so excited. Right before we started recording.
We found a box in the basement that's been in the basement for about like a week now.
I know, it's so crazy.
And I was trying to print a label for a new member so I could send her her bag, and there's this big box in front of the printer. So I was just trying to kick it out of the way. And I was like, what is this? And I was like, Mom.
And it literally has probably been in this basement for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
Yeah.
So you guys remember I ordered flour. It was like $9.95 for the bag and $20 for shipping. Hadn't heard anything. But at the same time, I had parts arriving. A TV repairman was coming. And we put everything in the basement because of this quarantine situation. I mean, I know this is a long story, but put everything in the basement, including the box that we thought.
You. Because, first of all, the box was like a good, 7 pounds.
Actually, it was 25 pounds because it's a 25-pound bag of flour.
So what TV part is 25 pounds?
Well, they said they were going to replace the motherboard, I think is what they called it. It was 2 parts that they were replacing, and they were automatically going to ship them. And so when it arrived, and I do have to say 2 boxes arrived at the same time.
They did.
So I figured one was one part and one was the other part. So I brought them right to the basement, put them by the broken TV, and never thought about it.
And then when the TV guy came, he was like, oh, this isn't a part. And I was like, all right, well, I don't know what it is, so I just let it be.
We're obviously quarantining, if that's a word. So we're not having lots of conversations with repairmen.
No.
And we've got masks on, and I'm actually staying upstairs, and Chelsea's talking to him. So, okay. You're just assuming the part didn't get used, I guess, or?
He didn't need it. He didn't say, oh, this is a bag of flour. This doesn't go on the TV. He just said, oh, I don't need this. Okay, I'll leave it.
So meanwhile, I have been going on this website trying to find out where my flour is. It doesn't have like a tracking system or anything like that because it's like a flour granary company. And they, they have a lot of people wanting flour right now, which is probably not usual for them because I think they usually sell to commercial businesses like hotels.
And Mom's acting like we've needed flour for the past 3 weeks when I feel like we've actually managed it pretty well.
I have not. I could have made lots of things. I could have made peanut butter cookies.
Speaking of which, we got a tweet from Brienne and she said, hey, Routine Podcast, love the show. But all of these are your fault. And she sent us a picture of 12 peanut butter cookies that look perfect.
They look so good.
So sorry, Brienne.
But I can make some of those now.
No,
yes.
we've moved on.
No, I have not.
We gotta expand our palette, Mom.
But I'm so excited. You know why I'm excited? I'm excited because obviously we have flour and I don't have to worry about that anymore. But I'm really excited because it was a small granary company in Kentucky that just makes flour. And I was just a little disappointed that they hadn't delivered it. And now I don't have to be disappointed.
You were assuming the worst.
And the small Kentucky company that delivered my flour on time. If I went through that flour really fast, I could order another bag, a 25-pound bag of flour, and just keep supporting the Kentucky business.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm excited.
Good. I'm glad, Mom.
It's like having another birthday present.
But yeah, so today is our second to last episode.
Second to the last episode.
Before our summer series.
Okay, good. Because that might, some people might went,
oh, no.
When you said that.
Until our summer series. We got a lot of great comments from you all. Do you want to read the first comment from Melissa?
Sure. So Melissa sent a comment on the webpage, and she says, hi, Chelsea and Diana. It was quite the long week in quarantine, so I was happy to see a new podcast. Happy birthday, Diana. So nice that you had a great birthday. Props to Chelsea for the baking skills. That cake was really good, which we have flour, which means you could make another one.
I probably won't.
This was a great episode, as I enjoyed hearing about the fan favorites. So many great gymnasts this season. I do agree that watching back old Olympics is a bit different now, knowing what's gone on in USAG. Hopefully going forward, athlete safety improves. For a summer series, I think if you can talk to Kyla Ross or maybe Chelsea Memel, I think that would be great to hear Chelsea's insight about the gymnastics world and her possible comeback. I've seen her on YouTube videos and they're amazing so far. Thanks again for a great podcast. Definitely brightens the week. Stay safe.
Thanks, Melissa. I think you bring up a lot of good points. Although it was fun last Friday watching the 96 Olympics. That was my first time watching it completely through. And it's just so cool to see the change in skills throughout the years. Yeah, the evolution of gymnastics throughout the years. A lot of those skills gymnasts just aren't doing anymore.
No, and I agree with you. Having the chance to look at gymnastics over the last 20 years, which is what showing the Olympics did for us, not only do you look at what happened emotionally with the gymnasts, physically they look different, and then as you said, just from a skill-wise perspective, and you also have equipment. The equipment changed.
Yeah.
And just watching that evolution over the last 20 years was very interesting.
Except watching Carrie Strug, that was hard.
And Bella.
It looked like she was just like a deer in headlights, like laying in that stretcher like she had no idea what she just did.
No, and it was watching Carrie, but it was also watching Dominique Moceanu.
Why?
She was a baby.
She was 14.
She was a baby. But talking about deer in the headlights.
Yeah.
Chelsea always says I do a lot of research. While we were watching the games, I started reading about Dominique and kind of what she went through in her life.
I think that's when the world kind of became fans of the Caroli isms.
Yeah, well, and America especially.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you were watching Bella, you were watching Marta, you were watching the gymnast, you were watching the camera, like always on Bella and his reaction. You were watching the gymnast having to go hug him after every time they competed.
And he wasn't even like a coach on the floor. He was behind like the barricades.
Yes. And then it was watching the gymnast competing at their best, but also with the injuries that were occurring. They were all injured. They were all in pain.
Yeah.
To what your point is, the evolution. Now that you're watching it all in one setting, it's really difficult.
But then afterwards, they showed 2004 with Carly Patterson. It ended on like a high note.
Yeah, I couldn't watch anymore though, right? I stopped watching.
Well, you fell asleep, but
which means I stopped watching. But I couldn't. Mentally, my brain could not handle it anymore.
Yeah, that's understandable. But it was cool to see Courtney Coupettes. Now Courtney Coupettes Carter.
Right.
And
such a beautiful gymnast.
Yeah, and you could see, obviously, because now she's like a grown-ass woman, but you could see just how much she's grown from 2004 to now.
Yeah, right.
She just looked so scared back then, which was so not Courtney. The Courtney that I know was the
gymnast, the collegiate
Courtney.
Gymnast,
yeah, and she was so confident. She was like Maggie, but better.
Well, because she had just competed at the Olympics,
so it was easy to her.
Right, easier.
Yeah.
I think it will be interesting to see what gymnastics looks like over the next 10 years, the next 20 years. How do we change and learn? But that's what evolution looks like. That's what time looks like. Time is about knowledge. Hopefully we'll interview Dr. Dave Tilley. Let's ask him about it, right?
Well, actually, it's interesting you bring up Dr. Dave Tilley. This Saturday, he's going to be having the Shift Movement Coaching Seminar. All of the proceeds are going towards COVID hunger relief.
Really?
And he has an awesome lineup of guests, including Madison Koshin and Kyla Ross. And some of the topics are come back stronger, mental toughness for coaches and athletes, techniques for Yurchenko vaults, gymnastic strength and conditioning essentials, and a lot of Q&As. So again, it's all day from 10:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern, and all of the proceeds are going to Feeding America COVID-19 hunger relief.
What a great idea.
honestly, he is one of the hardest working people I feel like I know. He is always doing something. Like, I feel like it's in him where he just can't sit still.
Well, it's not even that. He's doing something to help the greater cause.
Yeah.
Right? That's who he is. I mean, I just think his brain thinks that way. I love Dr. Tilly.
I know.
I really do.
And he said that the reason that he's doing this is because a lot of the clinics that he had planned over the summer with the University of Utah and University of Alabama obviously have been postponed.
Sure.
So he said, I'm trying to turn lemons into lemonade and put on a much bigger virtual version of the clinic while helping those in need. Thank you, Dr. Tilly.
Yes, and stay tuned because summer series is coming up. And you know you're always a strong participant of our summer series.
And we also got another email from Paula, and she said, Hi, I have been loving your podcast since season 1, and especially now during this lockdown. I just wanted to say thank you for helping better inform and educate us fans on the nuances of college gymnastics.
Can I just say one thing before you keep reading?
Uh-oh.
The fact that people... Hey, she's listened to us since season 1.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paula.
You've seen our evolution.
Isn't that the truth? We are still evolving,
Yeah.
too. But the fact that they enjoy what we're doing during the lockdown.
I know.
Because we really almost like called it quits.
We were not very inspired.
No, and the fact that people are enjoying listening to us during the lockdown, it's like we're doing our part to help people get through.
I know. Should we
right?
just keep going?
No, we're taking a break.
Wow. Did you see how quick she was?
I think you said the second before the last. Now, it's only a short break, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it took you a little minute to say that. I think it's like a month.
Well, we got to get our ducks in a row because currently we have no ducks to get in the row.
We need ducks first.
Yeah.
That's true. We've got to figure out the ducks, and then we've got to get them in a row.
Yeah.
So it's a break to make sure that we have a really good summer series.
Yes. But she also said some suggestions for senior interviews, which is interesting. Amelia Hunley, Lexi Funk, Ivy Liu, Kennedy Edney, Sabrina Vega, or Ruby Harold. She also mentioned another topic we should consider are talking with some of the international gymnasts, which is a really good idea.
I love that idea.
Yeah. And their experiences adapting to American college life and NCAA gym.
Yeah. And I think for the summer series, we should do both of those things.
And you know what's interesting is that we had this Canadian episode last summer with Coach McCharles, where we just talked about some of the Canadian greats in NCAA gyms. So we could take it a step further.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a Canadian, but
No, just
any.
more international.
Yeah.
I really like that idea, Paula. Hopefully you'll see that and be able to listen to that as part of our summer series. Mm-hmm. One of our ducks
Yeah.
that we put in the row.
Yeah. Also this week, let me first start by saying it is now time to go into
Oh, no, guys. No.
news you can use.
Oh, gosh.
So the SEC actually announced their end of the season awards this past week.
Okay.
And I think all of the awards were rightly given. Gymnast of the Year was none other than Miss Trinity Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
Event Specialist of the Year, which I'm very happy about, was Helen Hu.
I love that.
Right? Freshman of the Year, Kaya Johnson, which totally makes sense. And then Coach of the Year is head coach Jenny Rowland from University of Florida.
That's great.
So I think all of those awards, again, were rightly given. All of those people, including Jenny, just had fantastic seasons this year.
I think those are great names. I was just thinking, are there others that I would have picked? And while I agree with all those names, there are gymnasts like Sabrina Vega, Ruby Harold, some of the seniors. Like there should have been a brand new category. Seniors were saying thankful to or something, especially the seniors and how their season ended.
Okay, Mom. Mom just wants to keep celebrating these seniors, which I mean, we should, but...
Well, the fact that it ended the way that it ended, that's why.
Give them another year then.
No, well, that's not going to happen. I don't know if they want it, right?
That's
After
true.
talking to Maddie Carr, I don't think all of them want another year.
Yeah.
But Congratulations to all those who won those SEC awards. We do want to share in our podcast today another celebration. We want to celebrate the life of a woman who passed on Easter Sunday of this year. Her name is Jackie Court, and the impact that Jackie had on the sport of gymnastics is something that we want to share with you today.
So Jackie actually started the gymnastics program at Brown University, and of the many things she did, she fought to keep the program around.
She actually started as a volunteer. At that time, there was a YWCA, there was a men's and a women's program. But she actually, while she was volunteering there, she eventually decided to start a gymnastics program at the YWCA. As part of that, had a spring event every year featuring hundreds of women gymnasts. And so from there, as you said, she went to Brown and started coaching at Brown. What's fascinating about the time there is at some point the school decided that it was going to cancel the women's gymnastics program at Brown. And not only were they looking at women's gymnastics, but it was also women's volleyball, men's water polo, and golf. And as the coach of gymnastics at Brown, she decided that that was not acceptable and sued the school.
Wow.
While that is just amazing in itself, she actually took the case all the way to the Supreme Court, and she stayed with the case the entire time. And part of what they realized during the case was that she was being paid part-time while all of her colleagues were being paid full-time.
Insane.
Even though she was a full-time coach. And I think one of the things that we just haven't shared, but I think it's also important to the Jackie Court story, is that she became the first woman of color to coach at Brown.
So we actually had the chance to talk to head coach at Brown University, Sarah Carver Milne, who shared a little bit about Jackie's inspirational story.
We are joined with Sarah Carver Milne from Brown University. Hi, Sarah. How are you?
Hi, it's great to be here.
Well, it's so nice to talk to you. And we were just briefly talking about us all being in quarantine, and what a lovely time I'm having with my daughter in quarantine.
We're all getting very creative.
So obviously we're going to talk to you about Jackie Court's success. Before we do that, we have to talk to you about Brown. Clearly you guys were having a great season and you were headed to the next competition.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got this, abrupt news. Talk to us about how that was for your team and how you and the girls are doing.
Right. So I think everybody's doing fine now. We've all come to terms with it. Fortunately, we only had one senior this year, and she really had the best year of her entire career. So she felt completely fulfilled. We had our senior meet right before everything shut down. So she really felt like she had good closure to the end of her career. Being able to have her finish out on a strong note was really important to everybody.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And like you said, having that best season of her career gives her something to celebrate as well. And we've talked to a couple of seniors, and what we have found, at least in the ones that we've talked to, is that they actually handled it better, I think, than many others did, including fans, right? They seem to have handled it in a better way, I think. Did you find that to be the case as well with your team?
Yeah, definitely. I think in the beginning it was a little uncertain because we were getting different messages every day. It was, you'll not get to go to California this weekend, but you will get to compete in your conference championship the following weekend. And then you will get to take your NCAA regional qualifiers to that competition, but you won't be able to go to USAG Collegiate Nationals. So we were kind of back and forth about whether our season was over or not. And that made it a little bit confusing and a little hard emotionally because we didn't have just a hard end. We got to do 90% of our seasons, and we were really fortunate to have been able to do that. Sure, we didn't get to finish exactly how we thought we would, but to imagine not having your season at all after training for that long, the entire year, so their hearts really went out to those spring sport athletes.
I know it's early to think about next season, right? We've got to give our fans something to think about. I mean,
Absolutely.
You've been there You've been there for almost 20 years, actually 20 years now, right? You've been at
Yeah.
Brown.
Flies by.
And so, do you give thought to what your plans are for next season? I guess you got recruits and you've got all that happening. So, can you share a little bit about the future for Brown?
Sure, sure. Everything is still a little uncertain, as you know.
Right.
They're discussing canceling fall sports at this point. There's a lot of different ideas being floated around, but we're going to go with the idea that we're still a go. And we have 7 incoming freshmen so far,
Wow.
potentially 8. So
Wow.
we're very excited. Yeah, we've had the smallest team in the Ivy for quite a while, and a big goal of ours has been to build our roster. And we're certainly there. We had 6 freshmen this year, and we'll have 7 or 8 freshmen next year. So that's very exciting.
Well, congratulations on that. And we're going to be real positive. There's going to be a season. It's going to be successful. We're going to put all that in the atmosphere.
Perfect.
All right, so let's talk about Jacqueline really, but went by Jackie Court. Truly a pioneer in the collegiate gymnastics world, but somebody that we weren't aware of at all. So
Hmm.
can you share a little bit about Jackie Court?
Yeah, she was incredibly kind and humble. Honestly, I didn't know about her until I took the job at Brown too. My first meeting, I asked her, will you meet with me the day I got the job? I said, this is clearly your program. You started it. You've created a legacy of success here, and my goal is to continue that. So tell me what to do. Tell me what your secrets are. Tell me what works, And she met me at a restaurant, and we just had a very great first meeting, and she had been a huge supporter ever since. Would often email or call me before every single competition for years and say good luck to the girls, and I think this is your year, and just 100% supported my efforts and the program.
When you came to the school, right, like you said, she offered you lots of advice. Can you remember like some of what she shared with you?
Mostly, we talked about coaching the whole person, not necessarily just looking for the talented athlete, but looking for somebody that would contribute to the whole Brown community, somebody that would help with the culture of the program, people that were extremely passionate about gymnastics, because in the Ivy League, you're not coming because you're being offered a scholarship. You're at the school and doing the sport simply because you absolutely love the sport, and you can't imagine your life without that balance.
If you had to describe her legacy, what would you say?
Legacy is the perfect word for her, because we brought her in 2010. We hosted the Ivy Championship, and we have a banquet the night before, and we brought her in as the guest speaker. And I'll never forget the message that she gave to every student athlete in the room was leave a legacy.
Mm.
And it just it meant so much. And I don't think Jackie was trying to leave a legacy. She was trying to do what's right, and she was passionate about the sport and the people that were competing for her and representing the program that she created. It's interesting because I spoke with her a lot about it, and she had considered at one point not fighting when they tried to drop the program. And then once the trial started, the lawyer said to her, how far do you want to go with this? And she said, oh, I don't know. I'm just here to support my my student athletes and do whatever's right for the program that I started. And they said, well, it could go all the way to the Supreme Court. And she said, okay, whatever we got to do.
Wow.
And that was Jackie. She was just incredibly passionate, incredibly poised, classy. She's a wonderful, wonderful woman.
Sure. And, the legacy is there right now where the program continues. You've been there for 20 years and continuing on. So,
Mm.
it's great that she fought for the cause that she believed in.
Oh, absolutely. And I thank her every day. Not only would several women across the country not have the opportunity that they have, but I wouldn't have this opportunity if it weren't for Jackie. Very grateful for that every day.
Thank you, Sarah, for sharing Jackie's story with us. I think we also want to make sure that you know that Jackie's son is also involved in gymnastics. He's actually the head coach at the University of Arizona.
When I learned that fact, my mind was blown.
Yeah.
I was like, it all makes sense.
Yeah.
It all makes sense.
So the legacy that Jackie left, and again, she passed away on Easter Sunday at the age of 81 years old. So Chelsea, it's been fun today. I think we've got one more episode before the summer series.
Yes, and we've been holding out on this interview for a little, not too long, but a little bit.
Probably a month.
We've been sitting on it.
We were able to talk to the director of athletics and alumni, and there's a whole long name that he has.
Yeah, he has a lot of titles.
Which you'll hear next week. Bottom line is he runs athletics for Long Island University.
Which recently announced that they are starting a gymnastics program this coming season.
Yeah, so I think it's a really good segue from Jackie, who made sure Brown University continued their gymnastics, to Dr. Bill, who's making sure that there's a new program that's going to start at Long Island University.
Yeah, so he details why they decided to start a program, the goals for the program, and where they are today with starting the program next season. So it was cool hearing kind of the behind the scenes of what's going on up in Long Island.
Yeah, and he's even got us wearing t-shirts, basically.
We learned like the chant.
We did. They're the Sharks. So you'll hear all of that next week.
Yeah.
But before you leave us, we want to make sure we remind you about College Gym News. It's your one-stop shop for all things college gymnastics, for event coverage, leotard rankings, in-depth features, fantasy gymnastics resources, and more. Visit collegegymnews.com.
And if you're interested in supporting CGN's expanding coverage, visit collegegymnews.com/donate.
College Gym News.
All the college gymnastics you want.
All in one place.
Surprising, we actually haven't memorized that yet.
We have not.
We tried to do it a couple weeks ago off the top of our head. Did not go.
We had like this sentence from that paragraph.
Not good.
Yes, our sponsors wouldn't have liked that.
Yeah. But again, if you all have any suggestions for what you want to hear during the summer series, feel free to let us know. Again, we're trying to get our ducks in a row, so this is the perfect time to throw your ideas at us. And thank you to all of you who became members. Again, like I said earlier, I was trying to print some of the shipping labels.
That's how we started that flour discussion, isn't it?
But a big bag of flour was in front of the printer.
That's how we started that. And to become a member of the Routine Podcast, visit our website, look for the tab that says Support Us. Click that tab, you're going to see 3 options: general admission, front row, or box seat supporter. And with 2 of those options, you get one of our cool bags.
And again, we sold more black bags this week.
And again, no canvas bags. But you know what is so funny? I don't know if anybody is going to request the canvas bag.
Never say never. But not to like put you on the spot, but whose idea was it to print the white canvas?
It was completely my idea. Not only was it my idea, but I still love that bag. Hashtag.
Yeah, because you're a mom.
And I'm looking at the bag. We're looking at our bags while we're talking. But it's such a cool bag. And Chelsea's design of it is really cool.
Thanks,
what's
Mom.
really cool too are the water bottles, Chelsea.
They are cool.
Right?
Nice because it's about to be summertime, hot.
Summer, summer, summer.
Oh no. No, no music. No music.
No more singing on the Routine Podcast.
Okay, so let's wrap this up.
Good idea. Woo.
So if you guys liked today's episode or any of our episodes this season, be sure to give us 5 stars on the Apple Podcast app. It really helps us out. And again, if you have any comments, suggestions, or if you just want to say what's up, you can tweet us. Our Twitter is @Routine Podcast. You can email us at info@theroutinepodcast.com, or you can leave us a voicemail on our website, theroutinepodcast.com.
And you do that by going to the top of the page of the episode that you are most interested in leaving a comment about. You're going to see a microphone that says voicemail. Click that and you leave us a voicemail.
And we'll talk to you next week for our last episode of this part of the season. Bye.
Bye.